The promise that took time. Michael and Elena had been married for more than 20 years. They were the kind of people who made everyone around them feel loved and seen, hardworking, kind, and deeply spiritual. Their friends often marveled at their devotion to each other, and their family admired the calm steadiness of their lives. Yet there was one thing that had always eluded them: a child. In the early years of their marriage, hope had been bright and constant. They imagined the laughter of a little one filling their home, the tiny feet running across their wooden floors, the smell of baby powder and fresh laundry mingling in the air. They decorated a small corner of their home with pastel colors, just in case the dream came true. They prayed together every night, often late into the quiet hours, when the world had gone to sleep. They whispered their hopes into the night, asking God to bless them with the child they longed for. They believed, they hoped, and they waited. But year after year, the dream didn't come. Tests, treatments, and endless cycles of hope followed. By disappointment became a routine. Doctors were sympathetic, but could offer no guarantees. Friends and family tried to comfort them, some with good intentions, others with awkward pity. And there were whispers behind their backs, questions about why they didn't have children, suggestions that maybe they should accept it, and the casual curiosity of strangers that felt like tiny knives in their hearts. Elena bore much of the sorrow silently. At night, she would lie awake, tears wetting her pillow, imagining the child that never arrived. And yet, she held on to one belief, repeating it like a prayer, like a shield against despair. If God has planted a promise in your heart, time cannot kill it. Michael was equally faithful but quieter in his grief. He loved Elena deeply and wanted nothing more than to see her joy fulfilled. He supported her, prayed with her, and tried to be strong when she felt weak. One evening, after another round of tests had offered nothing but bad news, Elena sat on the porch watching the sun dip. Below the horizon, painting the sky with brilliant oranges, purples, and pinks. Michael came and sat beside her. The silence between them was heavy, filled with the weight of years of waiting, of unspoken grief, of love that had endured trials most could not imagine. Finally, he spoke, his voice soft but steady. Maybe this promise wasn't meant to come, in our timing, but his. Elena turned to him, tears glimmering in her eyes. "I want to believe that," she whispered. "But how do we keep faith when everything says it's impossible?" Michael squeezed her hand. "We keep believing. We keep praying. We don't have to understand the timing. We just have to trust it." Life continued, and slowly, they learned to find joy even without the child they had dreamed of. They poured their love into their work, their friends, their travels, and each other. They laughed more freely, knowing that life was precious, even without everything they thought they wanted. They traveled to mountains and beaches, took long walks under starlit skies, and celebrated small victories, like a particularly good harvest from their garden or the birth of a niece or nephew. Years passed. Their hair turned silver at the temples. Their bodies carried the marks of time, yet their faith never wavered. Every morning, Elena would kneel in prayer, whispering the same words she had repeated for decades, hoping that God had not forgotten them. "If it is your will, make it happen. If it is your timing, let me wait patiently." Then, one ordinary day, something extraordinary began to stir. Elena started feeling different, tired in a new way, her senses sharper, her intuition humming with a strange anticipation. She shrugged it off at first, blaming it on age, stress, or something she ate. But the feeling persisted, a quiet whisper that something was about to change. She went to the doctor, and Michael went with her, his hand tightly gripping hers. When the results came back, the doctor looked at them in disbelief. I don't know how to say this," the doctor stammered. "You're pregnant." The world seemed to tilt. Time stopped. Michael and Elena looked at each other, their eyes wide, mouths slightly open, hearts pounding. Could it be true? After all these years? After decades of waiting, of despair, of longing? They cried. They laughed. They held each other and then held the news close, trembling at the miracle unfolding before them. Elena's pregnancy was watched with both excitement and cautious hope. Friends and family were stunned. How could it happen after so many years? How could a 45-year-old woman conceive naturally? Every appointment, every ultrasound was a reminder that life could still surprise them in the most magnificent ways. Finally, after months of anticipation and careful care, Elena gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The room was filled with the soft cries of new life, the smell of baby powder, and the quiet awe of parents who had waited longer than anyone could imagine for this moment. When friends asked Elena how this was possible, she smiled, holding her son close, her eyes full of wonder and gratitude. "Never give up on a promise that was written for you," she said. "Delay is not denial. What's meant for you may take longer than you expect, but when it arrives, it will be right on time." Michael watched her, watched their son, and felt the weight of every tear, every prayer, every year of waiting lift off his heart. Faith, patience, and trust in the perfect timing of life had brought them their miracle. The promise that had been planted in their hearts had finally blossomed, and it was more beautiful than they could have ever imagined. From that day forward, their lives were never the same. Every sunrise reminded them of patience, every giggle of their child reminded them of hope, and every quiet moment of prayer reminded them that God's timing is always perfect. And as they watched their son sleep peacefully in their arms, Michael whispered to Elena, "We waited so long, but I would wait 1,000 more years for this." Elena nodded, tears glimmering in her eyes. Some promises take time, but the ones that are meant for us are worth every second.
When everything around you shakes, trust the one who never fails. God's promises do not break, and his hands never let go.